I'm Tim, welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. Today, we're discussing true horological royalty. This is the Omega Seamaster Professional Diver 50th Anniversary Skeleton Limited Edition of 50. You can see this commemorative white gold Omega Seamaster Professional and purchase it on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos. And please click on the card in the upper right hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full listing for this impressive 18 karat white gold Seamaster with high resolution images, full accessories, and they're extraordinary in this watch's case, and of course full pricing details. Now on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference, I still can't believe I'm wearing this watch. This was a giant of my youth as a budding watch enthusiast. This was the watch that taught me what skeletonization and engraving were, back when there was a paucity of watch information available in the embryonic internet in the late 1990s. This 1998 special edition from the Omega Specialties Collection was one of the leading lights of my youth. 41 millimeters across the round of the case, not including the crown guard, or the helium release valve. Again, same dimensions as the Bond 300 meter, but so much heavier in 18 karat white gold. About 12 millimeters thick. You can see that the flanks are actually nicely sloped, including the conical bezel, so you can ramp a dress cuff up and over in true Bond fashion, although I must say that this one is so ornate it seems better suited to a Bond villain than James Bond himself. Now the helium valve won't cause a sleeve to get caught up. It's recessed far enough into the case that it doesn't become an outcropping. So again, you can wear this one with a formal sleeve, but you can also wear it at the beach, as the watch retains all of its rated hermeticity from its Seamaster Professional engineering roots, still rated to 300 meters. It remains a viable diver. Now you also note that there are two ways to measure this watch lug to lug across the wrist. There's lug to lug itself, which is 47.5 millimeters, and then there's the distance between the rigid outcroppings, the solid end links of the bracelet. When you measure those, and those are the measurements extremity to extremity, the watch has a very impressive 53 millimeter span across the wrist. So if you have a big wrist, this one's actually going to look right at home. But you can see 16 centimeters, I'm still wearing this one with security, and I think down to 14 centimeters in circumference, you could still wear this watch with great security and panache. Now let's talk a little bit about that white gold. This is one of the few Omega Seamasters that can really go blow for blow with Rolex's so-called Smurf, the 116619 LB. Now this watch created in 50 copies, and you can see the individual numbering just underneath my thumb actually engraved onto the dial side of the movement. This represents something like a best case scenario for that anniversary Seamaster. There were a couple of different versions, yellow gold and white gold, and then you could go either one of the golds with a strap or a bracelet. So this watch in white gold with a bracelet maxed out the price list at the time, $49,000 in 1998 when it marked the 50th anniversary of the Omega Seamaster line. This was absolute royalty, and it still is, just as impressive today. The watch features a bracelet that at first glance looks very familiar. This looks like the well-known 5-link alternating brushed and polished James Bond Seamaster bracelet. Now where things start to change, it's actually not the clasp, although it is different, but the screws. This bracelet's held together and sized using screws. The conventional Seamaster Professional diver from the era used a far cheaper pushpin arrangement. This is a deluxe treatment, and yes, those are yellow gold screws inside the microlinks. You'll also note that it features an extensible clasp. Trigger actuated, it still has the security so it can't pop open. It does require positive release, not a friction fit, but you'll notice that slider allows the watch to size so much easily on a small wrist. When it's really sized down, a deployant can sometimes pinch a wrist. Here, the watch has an almost elastic-like quality, and yes, the slider is executed in white gold. Now when it's closed, it has a beautifully low profile, almost like the crown clasp on a Rolex Day-Date on the President bracelet. It's elegant, it's handsome, it's befitting the luxury polish that distinguishes this watch by far from the base models. Now here's the thing. The movement is not a stock 2892 skeletonized. It's actually a much older Omega 1000 series from the early 1970s. Why the change? Well, there's a good reason. It's a bigger movement. If you're going to completely open the dial, if you're going to include the only display case back on one of the Bond style Seamasters. You need a bigger movement that can fill out the dial in the case back. This one, featuring a measurement of approximately 27.9 millimeters across, is far larger than the 2892's 25.6, so there's a bigger canvas. And you'll note it is not just a skeleton, it is also hand engraved, and that on both sides. Now, it's just as tough as the underlying, or I should say standard, Omega 1120 or 1109 2892 base calibers, still automatic winding, still with a 42-hour power reserve, still with 21 joules. The distinction here is that the fully skeletonized movement doesn't feature hacking, and it doesn't feature a date. And amusingly, part of the date change mechanism has been retained as a sort of flourish on the dial. You'll note the manual advancing mechanism for the date is actually retained, and bright polished, I should add. Now, of course, it does retain its status as a diver with a constant seconds indicator. It does have unidirectional rotating dive bezel, and it does feature a fully luminescent set of hour indices and hands at center. So all of the underlying utility of the base watch is retained. This watch is exquisite. It's exciting. It's possibly the most unique variation on Omega's most iconic watch of the 1990s. This is truly the ultimate version of Omega's comeback watch from the 90s. Beautiful, richly detailed. It's a rare case of an Omega that you can buy that you know for a fact was entirely hand-assembled, decorated, and finished. If you're an Omega boffin and you consider something like the Omega Tourbillon to be the ultra, to be the ultimate aspirational Omega, remember, to date, over 1,000 of those have been made. This watch, only 50. You can see this exceptional Omega Seamaster Professional Diver, 18-karat white gold, skeletonized and engraved, one of only 50 made, on our website.